Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Melissa Estavillo. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and owner of Biltmore Psychology and Counseling. Today I wanted to talk with you guys about the differences between depression and grief, some of the places where they tend to overlap in terms of symptoms, but really some of the key differences, because this is a very common thing for people to be confused about the fact that they're experiencing grief and actually mistaken it for depression. So, this feels like a very timely topic right now as we're going through the pandemic, and certainly there's people that have lost loved ones to this and are experiencing grief. Other people that are experiencing grief because they've lost a loved one to something other than COVID, and they haven't been able to be there to be able to say goodbye to their loved one. They haven't been able to do a funeral and some of the very typical things. And so because of that lack of ability to be close to people and be able to see what other people are going through, I think many people end up being confused and actually thinking that they're experiencing depression and are very disconcerted about that when that maybe hasn't been their history, hasn't been something they've gone through before, and in fact they're experiencing grief. So I think one of the most notable and key differences between depression and grief is this idea of where some of these thoughts stem from. So when we think about classic depression, this usually is a place where people will feel a sense of a burden to other people. They'll feel like they're not contributing anything to society. They feel like it would maybe be a relief for others if they weren't here. So lots of the beliefs and things that stem around depression tend to be what we call irrational, or things that are skewed from the reality of what it is. So if we compare and contrast that to grief, grief is an incredibly normal, healthy, and very rational reaction to extreme loss. One of the things, as hard as this is, we hate that for the people that we love, that they might be sad and overwhelmed by the fact that, someday we wouldn't be here, or that, something could happen to us. But really, it's the consequence of love, is that we have an overwhelmingly negative reaction when someone that we love, someone that we care for, is not here. So one of the things that I often encourage for clients is to say, as sad and as hard as this is for you to be going through this experience, it really highlights the depth of love that you have for that person. It really highlights the fact that this person was so integrated into your life. They were so important to you that their absence, their leaving from your life, is not without some significant sense of consequence to you. And ironically, I think for a lot of people going through grief, that's relieving for them. It's a reframe for them to be able to see it differently and go, okay, doesn't mean that loved one never wants me to be happy again. It doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to stay in the heaviness of this for a long period of time, but it does mean that this is a healthy and normal reaction to the loss of someone that we really care about. I think, again, our society doesn't set us up to really understand grief very well. It's very normal for people to say, I got 2 days of bereavement, I had a couple days off, we did the funeral, or, we just, wrapped up some loose ends and were able to take steps forward. Why am I struggling? Why is this still hard? Well, because grief is not a 2-month process. Grief is not something that, we experience it, we understand it, and we're done. It's something that typically can come up in waves for people. There might be periods of time where they feel really like themselves, they're feeling okay, and then other times where they feel really caught off guard by the sense of sadness. As heavy as this is to talk about, for a lot of clients, what I prepare them for is that I have seen this more typically to be a 2-year process where, it's this progression through all the heaviness. So I'm not trying to say, again, that every day is overwhelmingly hard, but that for many people, there's all of this newness to the world being without this loved one. And that's year 1. And year 2 is it really setting in that this is the way things are going to be from here on out. I often like to look at other cultures and some of their cultural expressions of grief, and I think how much easier it would be for our society if we were able to adopt something like this. I've seen or had some people report that in traditional Israeli culture that people will grow out their beards for a year. They, some people might wear a different color of shirt to be able to indicate and show to everyone around them that they're grieving. And this isn't something that in those societies tend to repel people, but it's to bring them close. It's to let them know this person is hurting, we need to be there for them, we need to talk about this shouldn't be an embarrassment. And so, not that I want for everyone out there grieving to be the trendsetters in the United States, but I think it would be wonderful if we were able to slowly change our perception of grief we're able to offer more support to other people, and most importantly, that we're able to shift this understanding so that people going through grief and are doing it very, in a healthy way, that they're able to connect to that and say, this is what I should be going through. This is the process that, is very normal and typical, and to feel very grounded in their love for that person as they're grieving them. So again, for all of you people out there, that are watching this and that have lost someone recently due to COVID or due to some other thing, know that you're not alone. Know that your sadness is a very normal, healthy thing that you're going through, and know that it won't last forever. That this heaviness that you're feeling will not be the predominant emotion for all time, but there will be a time where you're able to think of that loved one and feel the lightness and the happiness and the positive things way before you feel the negative heaviness. So we're with you through this time. We care about you. We want to be able to answer any questions that you have. You can always leave those in the comments below. And we'll talk to you again soon.